Developing right now on Morning News Now, words of warning. President Trump saying the clock is ticking for Iran as peace talks stall. Now, renewed questions about what happens next with a fragile ceasefire on the brink of collapse.
It sounds like you do support more military action at this point. Do you think that's something that will happen? Do you think it could happen in days, weeks, months?
I think the status quo is hurting us all. The longer the strait is closed, the more we try to pursue a deal that never happens, the stronger Iran gets. What President Trump has done has been amazing militarily, but there's still more targets to be had.
And a stunning primary loss for one longtime Republican senator, highlighting the price of dissent against President Trump. We'll take you to Washington. Horror in the sky. 2 fighter jets at an air show in Idaho seen colliding mid-air. Well, the latest on the 4 crew members who ejected just in time. Developing this morning, Mother Nature's wrath on full display from coast to coast, from severe storms stretching from the south to the northeast and fire danger in parts of the west. And it's starting to feel like summer with temperatures in several states set to break records today. We're tracking it all. Plus, pomp and controversy at graduation ceremonies across the country over college commencement speakers touting AI as the future. Hear the remarks met with a chorus of boos as the class of 2026 enters a challenging job market. Good morning. Thanks for starting your week with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. We begin this hour with a new threat from President Trump against Iran. With negotiations to end the war and reopen the Strait of Hormuz going nowhere, the president says Tehran must act fast or, quote, there won't be anything left of them. This latest warning comes after officials in the United Arab Emirates said a drone strike caused a fire at a nuclear power plant there on Sunday. No one was blamed for that. This continued closure of the strait, plus fears of renewed hostilities, are pushing oil prices higher this morning, and that's keeping the price of gas and other daily necessities high here at home. NBC News Washington correspondent Alice Barr joins us now with the very latest. Alice, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. The ceasefire with Iran that President Trump recently said was on life support is showing new signs of strain this morning, with fresh attacks on Gulf neighbors and negotiations stuck in a stalemate. President Trump this morning is refocused on Iran and renewing his threats, posting that the clock is ticking and the regime better get moving fast or there won't be anything left of them. That amid Israeli media reports the president spoke to Prime Minister Netanyahu. On Friday, President Trump saying this about Iran.
We left their bridges. We left their electricity capacity. We can knock that all out in 2 days.
The ramped-up rhetoric comes as U.S. ally the United Arab Emirates said a drone strike sparked a fire at a nuclear power plant, calling it a dangerous terrorist attack, while Saudi Arabia said it intercepted multiple drones. Both have been frequent targets of Iran in a standoff over the Strait of Hormuz, with negotiations to end the war appearing stalled.
They don't know how to make a deal.
President Trump rejected Iran's last offer, saying it didn't deal with the nuclear threat. Senator Lindsey Graham, a close Trump ally, urging him to renew attacks on Iran.
I think the status quo is hurting us all. The longer the strait is closed, the more we try to pursue a deal that never happens, the stronger Iran gets. So what do you do next? You weaken them further.
As the unrest keeps forcing gas prices higher, the impact is trickling through the U.S. economy.
Price of gas goes up, everything goes up.
This family-owned grocery and deli in Wisconsin is fighting to avoid raising prices for customers.
Watching tomatoes triple in price from over the course of 1 month, that's pretty crazy. I mean, I have not seen that before.
While rising tensions raise the risk for more fallout. And President Trump and his allies keep making the case that prices are going to drop once the war is over. But as we edge closer to the November midterm elections, Democrats are promising to hammer the issue of affordability more and more. Joe?
Alice, what are we hearing from Iran about all this, and just where do things stand on those Pakistan brokered peace talks?
Yeah, we did hear from Iran's foreign ministry spokesperson who appeared to respond to President Trump's new threats today. He said that Tehran was not intimidated, but he also said the process of talks and negotiations are still ongoing. He was speaking to a news briefing and said the regime had now responded to a new U.S. proposal that Tehran would be monitoring all movements and was prepared for any possibility should there be action on the U.S. On these threats President Trump is making. He said if there's even the slightest mistake, we know very well how to respond.
All right. Alice Barr, thank you so much. As we just heard in Alice's piece there, South Carolina Republican Senator Lindsey Graham is urging President Trump to resume attacks on Iran. At the same time, more and more GOP voters say they're unhappy with the president's handling of the war, with the midterms just around the corner. Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker spoke with Senator Graham. Here's Kristen with more of that conversation.
Senator, you take me to my next question, because 70% of Americans in a new poll say President Trump is doing a bad job on the economy, the number one issue for voters, as you know. Bottom line, is it worth losing the midterms if the result is a non-nuclear Iran?
It's worth losing my job. If I had to give my job up to make sure Iran would never have a nuclear weapon, I would do it.
Would you give up the House and the Senate?
I would give up politically. The most important thing I can do with the job I've been given is to protect the American people. Now, you don't have to agree with me, but I've been this way for 20 years. I believe they're religious Nazis in Iran. If they had a nuclear weapon, they would use it. They've been trying to get one. They've been cheating. Obama and Biden were jokes when it came to containing Iran. Trump is doing something people should have done a long time ago. But here's the good news. Gas prices will come down when you put Iran in a box. Saudi-Israel peace will become possible when you put Iran in a box. The upside of dealing with Iran is enormously good, but you got to deal with them.
Staying in Washington, a blowout primary loss is ending the career of a longtime Republican lawmaker. Senator Bill Cassidy lost his party primary in Louisiana on Saturday. Trump-backed Representative Julia Letlow and State Treasurer John Fleming are now projected to face off in a runoff at the end of June. It's another win for President Trump in his quest for revenge against Republicans he views as disloyal. Cassidy was one of 7 Republicans who voted in 2021 to convict Mr. Trump on impeachment charges for inciting an insurrection on January 6th. More recently, Cassidy, a medical doctor, has sparred with Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. over vaccine policies and other public health issues. In a post to Truth Social after Cassidy's loss, President Trump said, quote, "It's nice to see that his political career is over." NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us now from Washington with more on this. Megan, good morning. So why does this race matter, and just what does Senator Cassidy's loss tell us about the current political climate here?
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, this is part of this broader trend of politicians who have crossed President Trump getting voted out of office after President Trump has urged his supporters to oust his political opponents and instead to support politicians who are loyal to him. Now, a defining moment in the relationship between Senator Cassidy and President Trump came years ago when Senator Cassidy had voted to convict President Trump on those impeachment charges following the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Now, fast forwarding to today, just 2 of the other 6 Republican senators who had voted to convict President Trump are still in office, and just 2 of the 10 House Republicans who had voted to impeach President Trump are still in office as well. Now, looking ahead, too, there's also another really interesting primary to watch just tomorrow when Republican Congressman Thomas Massie of Kentucky will also face a primary. Massie, too, has clashed with President Trump, and in return, President Trump has urged his supporters to vote out Massie. So another really interesting primary to keep an eye on amid this larger context of people who have criticized President Trump getting voted out of office, Joe.
As for Senator Cassidy, I mean, he still has several months left in this term. How is he responding?
Yeah, so he made a speech on Saturday night where he seemed to criticize President Trump, though he did not explicitly name President Trump. In that speech, he had said that the country isn't just about one person, but it's about the welfare of all Americans and about the Constitution. And he had said that if someone did not understand that and instead tried to use power to exert control over others, he said that that person then would not be qualified to be a leader, and that person would be about themselves. Take a listen to what else he had to say in that Saturday speech.
When you participate in democracy, sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. But you don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen, you don't find a reason why. You don't manufacture some excuse. You thank the voters for the privilege of representing the state or the country for as long as you've had that privilege. And that's what I'm doing right now.
That comment about you don't claim that an election was stolen seemed to be criticism of President Trump, who has repeatedly falsely claimed that the 2020 election was that he won the 2020 election when it was won by former President Biden. Now looking ahead, the runoff election will take place on June 27th, Joe.
All right, Megan, and not a politician, but another person President Trump at least perceives as an opponent is former FBI Director James Comey. He's now facing his second indictment in just 2 months from the Trump administration's Justice Department, this time over a social media post the DOJ alleges is a death threat to the president. He appeared on Meet the Press yesterday. Comey had this to say.
The President of the United States cannot use the Justice Department to target people because he wants to retaliate against them. That is not just wrong, it's a way in which our system cannot operate and be effective.
Does it make you and your family fearful?
No, because I know what I'm dealing with. Someone who's announced he's now the hunter. Okay, let's go.
So, Megan, bring us up to speed on this case and just what it tells us about how President Trump is using the DOJ in his second term.
Yeah, so this case is also part of a broader trend of the Justice Department under President Trump at targeting President Trump's political opponents. So Comey isn't the only person. The Justice Department has also brought charges against former National Security Advisor John Bolton and New York Attorney General Letitia James, for example, though that case was later tossed by a judge. But in his interview with Meet the Press, Comey had also said that he still has complete faith in the judicial system, and he again said that he's not just not guilty, but that he's innocent, saying again, let's go. And so looking forward, he also declined to get into specifics about that case as well, because the case is still ongoing, Joe.
All right, Megan Leibowitz, thank you so much. This morning, 49 million Americans are under the threat of extreme weather as a line of strong storms moves across the country. Overnight, the Midwest saw several tornadoes and quarter-inch size hail, damaging dozens of homes there. Crews in the Great Lakes and out west are facing a different problem. They're trying to get a handle on several wildfires, like this one, California's Santa Rosa Island off the coast of Santa Barbara. Wildfire there has scorched more than 10,000 acres since breaking out Friday afternoon. NBC News meteorologist Andrea Romero will have your forecast in a moment. First, though, NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky has the latest on the damage from the storms and the fires.
From dangerous storms to fast-moving fires, millions from coast to coast bracing for severe weather. This line of thunderstorms making for a menacing skyline in Kansas. Dark clouds unleashing a flurry of hail, some as big as golf balls. The rising threat for damaging storms now impacting an estimated 17 million people, with tornado potential high. This twister churning through Iowa Saturday, one of 4 confirmed. Look at this. Farther north, flames forcing Minnesota's governor to call in the National Guard to help contain an outbreak of multiple fires. Flames scorching thousands of acres. Here you can see the sky burning orange, sirens blaring, and police launching an investigation, looking for whomever opened fire striking this fire suppression plane. The sheriff says no one was hurt. Meanwhile, in Texas, crews able to slow the spread of the Hungate fire outside Amarillo.
There were parts of it that were just so fast moving that it was hard to comprehend.
Shelby Crow's home survived, but she's still uneasy.
How did it feel knowing it was that close?
Nerve-wracking. I am where my mom evacuates to, and my mom is where I evacuate to. So for both of us to be in the same predicament at the same time, it was nerve-wracking.
The fire threat stretching all the way to California, where it's already feeling like summer. Meanwhile, in the Northeast, people are staring down a days-long heat wave, with some areas expecting temps to hit the high 90s. Morgan Chesky, NBC News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's get a closer look at what to expect with those scorching temps and the risk of more severe storms in the forecast. It's time for your morning News Now weather with meteorologist Andrea Romero. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. And this morning we are tracking a line of storms that's moving here through the central part of the country. And fortunately, we have no reports of severe weather at this moment, but we do have some strong storms with lightning here beginning to move into the Springfield and Quincy area. The bad news is that this system will only intensify throughout the day. The risk of severe weather will be higher this afternoon and tonight. 49 million people are at risk for tornadoes, strong to intense tornadoes, so we could have another outbreak today, especially here in parts of Kansas, Nebraska, and also Missouri. The threat of damaging hail, wind gusts of over 75 miles per hour is possible for this region, and the tornado risk, EF3s, here from Wichita to Kansas City. We're looking at the possibility of EF2, and these could be long tracking tornadoes that can be covering a large amount of area. So today's one of those days you want to make sure you have a way to receive those weather alerts. You want to have those plans in place in case you do have to seek shelter. And aside from the severe thunderstorm risk and that severe weather, we also have the risk of flash flooding for especially parts of Missouri. We're looking at hourly rainfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour. And between today into tomorrow, we're expecting perhaps locally 5 to 7 inches of rainfall that could fall across this area. Tomorrow, the cold front responsible for this severe weather will be shifting to the east. A large area of severe thunderstorms is also possible all the way from Texas up into Vermont, but the risk will be a little bit less than today. Tomorrow, we're not looking perhaps so much as those big tornadoes that could develop today, but we're looking more of the risk of wind gusts and damaging hail, but it could extend over this wide area. So another day where we're going to be concerned with this severe weather. And of course, we have that record heat that Morgan was talking about here in the Northeast. It's more like summer. We're looking at temperatures that could be record high temperatures for today into tomorrow. Perhaps the worst of the heat here, especially along the Northeast. We're looking at temperatures over 20 degrees above average for this time of year, in the 90s. Along the coast, we could have a little bit of a cool down with that breeze that can develop in the afternoon, but we're still looking at really high temperatures. And as that front continues to move on eastward, the temperatures will cool down. We're going to say goodbye to the heat later on this week. Unfortunately, just in time for the holiday weekend, we're looking at temperatures Friday, perhaps in the 60s here in parts of New York, in the 70s, in Norfolk, in Buffalo, 68 degrees. So it will be a cool down that we will be feeling for the next couple of days. And as far as the fire alert, we do have that risk. 11 million people under those red flag warnings in California, stretching all the way here into parts of Oklahoma and Kansas, New Mexico. So you want to make sure you take care in those locations. And on top of this all, we're talking about heat. We're talking about severe weather, flash flood, and we even have some snow that's falling here west of Denver into the Rockies. We have those winter weather advisories, even winter storm warnings in effect for parts of Wyoming into parts of Colorado, where we could see snowfall amounts through tomorrow that could be over 10 inches. So we have a lot to talk about, Joe, as far as the weather. We're tracking a lot of systems. But of course, today, the main concern is that severe weather that we're expecting in parts of the plains and the Midwest.
A little bit of something for everyone. All right, Andrea, thank you so much. A major evidence ruling is expected later today in the state case against accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione. The judge will decide whether prosecutors can use key evidence that was seized during Mangione's arrest in Altoona, Pennsylvania, back in December of 2024. That evidence includes a firearm, notebooks, electronic devices, and statements allegedly made to investigators. Now, today's decision could shape the course of his upcoming state trial in September. Mangione is facing 9 felony charges that That includes second-degree murder for the shooting death of former United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. The New York State case carries the possibility of life in prison. Today's ruling could also affect Mangione's federal trial, which is expected later this year. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. NBC News legal analyst Danny Ceballos is here with more on these court proceedings. Danny, good to have you with us. So today's hearing we expect to be maybe half an hour long, comes after that December hearing lasted 9 days, really addressing the issues of should the evidence still be allowed? Was it gathered unconstitutionally? Walk us through what the judge has to consider here and what you expect he's going to decide today.
The judge is considering whether to suppress statements and physical evidence, including the handgun and the other things we saw up there on the screen. Now, the way this works is our society, our judicial system has come up with a remedy. If police violate your constitutional rights, what's the remedy? Well, we've decided we don't throw the entire case out. We don't fine the police. The remedy is we take that evidence, that fruit of the poisonous tree, and it gets thrown out of the case. Now, if you're just playing the odds, this motion is likely to be denied and the evidence will come in. For two reasons. Number one, these motions are rarely granted. I've filed hundreds of them. I've maybe had 5 or 6 granted in my lifetime, in my career. Judges don't like granting them because, by definition, they let a guilty person go free. They suppress incriminating evidence. So it's something that judges generally don't like to grant. But the second reason is we've had another court, a federal court, already decide the exact same motions, and that motion was denied. And I think in the back of the judge's mind, do you really want to be inconsistent with the federal court on this? And do you really want to suppress any of this evidence? So likely, my bet, everything comes in.
That being said, if some of the evidence, all of the evidence is thrown out by this judge, what would that mean for the prosecution's case? I mean, what's the worst case scenario here?
It would be a huge victory for the defense because, and I say that, what I mean there is that the defense has done an admirable job fighting tooth and nail at every point on what a case that really, by any accounts, is a loser for the defense. This is a really tough case if they're going to try and win it, but they've chipped away at it. Even though it would get rid of the firearm and some of the manifesto and some of the writings, they still have a lot of evidence in the way of surveillance video that tracked Luigi Mangione or allegedly tracked him all around the city. They've got a ton of other evidence. If that evidence is out, it's not great for the prosecution, but the case goes on.
A reminder, this today is the state trial. The decision here, could it have any influence at all on the federal trial, which right now is slated to go after, right?
Virtually none, because we live in a system of separate sovereigns, literally separate kingdoms. We have a federal system and a state system. And it's really not that common for there to be two simultaneous federal and state prosecutions for the same conduct. The defense has criticized that move by the federal government. And frankly, I agree. This may not be the federal government's province. It's likely why they already lost the death penalty in the federal case. But that being said, they operate separately. They schedule separately. The judges are not on the phone to each other working out calendar dates. But it's up to the attorneys to figure out among them how to schedule this case.
You mentioned the schedules here. We know the state trial is slated to begin on September 8th. The federal trial does not have a start date yet. Why is that?
It's up to the reason why is there was so much litigation on getting the death penalty off the table that has set the federal case into sort of, and this happens all the time. Motions are granted, timelines get moved out, pushed out further and further. And as long as the defense is willing to waive what's called speedy trial in federal court, then with a complex case, and this is a complex case, the trial date can get pushed out for various reasons, and it has.
All right, Danny Ceballos, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. This morning, hundreds of thousands of commuters are bracing for a very messy commute into New York City. Union workers for the Long Island Railroad took to picket lines over the weekend after going years without a new contract. It's the biggest commuter rail system in North America. Now it is at a standstill for the first time in more than 30 years. Reporter Kay Ingram from NBC New York has the latest from Penn Station.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, it's been a quiet morning so far, but of course that morning rush is going to happen soon. We want to bring you here to the front of the ticket booth. As you can see, signs here indicating there is no Long Island Railroad service at this time. The LIRR strike is ongoing. Today is day 3. The stations are closed. There are also signage around Penn Station telling folks that the strike is happening to stay safe. Of course, still no crowds at this hour, but you are getting a look here inside of Penn Station as folks mill around. We did speak with one guy earlier who mentioned he's trying to make his way to Long Island, but he doesn't know what he'll have to do. Maybe he'll have to transfer. He's here to visit family. But of course, this is just the beginning of day 3 here at Penn Station as day 3 of that strike continues.
More to come, Kay. Thank you so much. Now, investigators are working to figure out why 2 Navy jets collided mid-air during an Idaho air show on Sunday. The dramatic moment was caught on camera. The crews ejected, their parachutes deploying as thick black smoke filled the sky, both jets crashing to the ground in a massive fireball. Somehow, all 4 people on board survived. NBC News correspondent George Solis has more.
Jaw-dropping moments at an air show in Idaho, captured on camera.
The plane crashed.
Watch as these 2 U.S. Navy jets collide, go vertical, and then begin to spin as debris and flames ignite. Navy officials say the pilots collided while performing an aerial demonstration. Incredibly, you can see 4 parachutes deploy as the jets start to rapidly plummet towards the ground.
Stay where you are at this time. Again, I repeat, there have been 4 good parachutes that were seen.
The pilots floating just above as the wreckage explodes into a ball of fire and dust. Rich Rahill witnessed the dramatic moments.
We knew it wasn't good, but we've also been told that, we saw the 4 parachutes. That was a good sign.
Videos appearing to show the group landing back on the ground. Police say the dramatic collision resulting in the Mountain Home Air Force Base about 40 miles east of Boise to go on lockdown. The rest of the air show canceled.
Navy officials tell NBC News that all 4 of those pilots are still being evaluated and that this incident is still under investigation. Back to you.
All right, George, thank you. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, cutting back. The FAA reducing its target for staffing in air traffic control. More on the move that is raising some questions about safety in the sky. Up first after the break, a global health emergency unfolding in Africa. But we know about hundreds of cases being linked to the deadly disease Ebola. Next, stay with us. Welcome back. Over the weekend, the World Health Organization officially declared a global health emergency. Not hantavirus, we're actually talking about Ebola. Cases caused by a variant strain of Ebola are surging in the Central African nations of Uganda and Congo. Experts estimate those countries have seen about 300 suspected cases since April and at least 88 deaths. No vaccine or treatment is approved for this strain. Now, hantavirus does still remain on the radar for health officials. The cruise ship where an outbreak started arrived in the Netherlands just hours ago. There, it will be cleaned and disinfected. NBC News international correspondent Danielle Hamamjian joins me now with more details on the cruise ship and its future. Danielle, good morning. The ship arrived in Rotterdam with a limited crew and 2 medical staff on board. Does anyone have any symptoms, or are they going to have to quarantine at all?
Yes, they're going to have to quarantine, and no, nobody has tested positive. That is according to health officials in the past couple of hours. 25 crew members, 2 doctors on board have disembarked, and what a journey it has been. More than a month after the first passenger died on board, the MV Hondius that you see there, finally arriving at its final destination. They will be screened, if that's hasn't happened already, and they will enter immediate quarantine. But it's worth remembering what happened last week, Joe, when all those passengers disembarked in Spain on the island of Tenerife. In the case of one French woman, she only developed mild symptoms on the plane back home to Paris. The next day, testing positive. We know, of course, that the symptoms can take weeks before they begin to appear. Now, among the crew members, there are some who are not from the Netherlands, so it's unclear how they're going to split their 42-day isolation period. Also worth mentioning, Joe, that a Canadian person who disembarked last week has tested positive over the weekend. That was confirmed by health officials in the Canadian province of British Columbia. One of 4 passengers, Canadian passengers, who were on board, but health officials confirmed none of them have been in contact with members of the public.
Danielle, this is a big boat, to put it mildly. Do we know how crews even plan to go about disinfecting the ship?
Yeah, Oceans-wide Expeditions have hired a company that specializes in these kinds of things, large-scale disinfection projects, and that is supposed to start today. But health officials have also said, and they have confirmed, the operator has confirmed, the ship will not set sail again until it has been inspected by health officials in the Netherlands, Joe.
That brings me to my next question, though. There is reporting the ship will be scheduled to set sail at some point on another voyage. What do we know about that?
Yeah, it's not just reports. It is on the website of the operator. The next trip beginning on the 29th of May. That is just around the corner. That is going to be an Arctic expedition beginning in Iceland on the 29th of May, ending in Norway on June 13th. Pretty remarkable given everything this vessel has gone through. But as I say, just around the corner in a couple of weeks, the ship will set sail again with passengers on board, Joe.
All right, Danielle, thank you so much. For more on these global health concerns, let's bring in NBC News medical contributor, Dr. Kavita Patel. Dr. Patel, good morning. Let's start right there. Are we suddenly experiencing a dramatic uptick of rare and potentially deadly diseases around the world, or do these kind of localized outbreaks happen maybe more often than we realize, but because a couple are making headlines, we're just hearing more about them?
Joe, it's a little bit of both. I mean, since the pandemic, we have seen an uptick in more of these kind of vector-borne illnesses. And of course, we've also had an outbreak of measles in the United States that has created its own epidemic. So you're seeing kind of these two inciting events at the same time. So yes, these are just now surveillance methods, and we're learning about things, and we're a global country. And at the same time, we are also seeing an uptick in things, not just from the vaccines that have been kind of lower in volume from the last several years post-pandemic, but also global warming and all of these things making vector-borne illnesses, some of the other things that we're talking about, not Ebola or Hanta, but those are also more likely.
Let's talk about the ship. It just arrived in the Netherlands. I guess it's setting sail again next week. So from a public health standpoint, for the crews going on board to clean it, what's ahead of them, and how much scrutiny will that ship get from officials before it is allowed to have passengers on it again?
Yeah, you can bet that not only are Dutch public health authority officials, but I think global health officials are all going to be kind of scrutinizing what's happening before anyone embarks on a maiden voyage for the next time for this ship. And so first and foremost, I think they're workers that are kind of sanitizing the crews that are going through their like deep infection cleaning processes. They're the ones that are taking the most risk. We know that that kind of very first event came from a trip that was done prior to embarkment, that kind of landfill, but you never want to take any chances, just as you heard in the reporting. So these are the crews that are probably going to be the most likely kind of points of contact. They're going to be wearing all of that kind of respiratory gear. And while they're doing the disinfection processes, you've got public health authorities that are also going to have put into place protocols. This is very reminiscent of what we did after COVID, when we also had to clear cruise ships for sail again. So those are the same kinds of infection procedures, monitoring, and you bet those passengers are going to be watched closely along with the crew.
Yeah, I'm guessing there's some passengers out there who are looking at their itineraries right now, seeing the ship they're supposed to be on, and they might have some questions about whether it's safe. What advice do we have for them?
Yeah, I think the most common advice, not just for people who might get on that specific ship, but a lot of people are taking cruises this summer, and they are all very safe because of these protocols that get put into place. But I think the three things to remember: have your immunizations checked, the things you can do before you get on board the ship. And then number two, just ask about what facilities you do have on the ship. What do you have for hand washing stations? What do you have for, medical personnel on board? All of these ships come incredibly prepared. That's actually how they were able to do such a good job when they first had some of those cases on the ship. So a lot of credit goes to that crew. And then three, go ahead and check, and this is, I think, where a lot of confusion comes in. Make sure that you have your own medical kind of stock and kit, so that if you have a fever, if you have nausea, if you have any vomiting, you can have supportive care, so that you're not scrambling at the last minute and looking for some of these supplies. So being prepared can be the best way to get on the ship safely.
Some good advice there. All right, let's talk about this Ebola outbreak I mentioned a moment ago. The WHO said it does not meet the criteria for a pandemic emergency like COVID, but officials are concerned about their ability to just trace the start of the outbreak. That's because their equipment did not initially detect it. What do people need to know about this strain that is circulating now?
Yeah, so two things to remember. That the strain that was the most common is something called the Zaire strain. That is not what was detected. What was detected is the Bundibugyo strain, which is incredibly rare. Unfortunate, because that's what caused about a month lag in missing these cases. So we know that some of those early cases, Joe, were at the end of April of 2026, and that we had about a month of lag, which has unfortunately resulted in these cases and deaths. And we're going to certainly see more. The count that we see now in the hundreds is likely an underreporting, just because we've been behind on the surveillance. And unfortunately, because of what you've heard about domestic unrest and just the conditions on the ground are leading to, I think, a lot of consternation globally that we could see cases popping up outside of Africa. This is what we've seen in earlier Ebola outbreaks. This is a virus that is known to us. Unfortunately, this strain does not have a vaccine. Other strains of Ebola do. There is not cross-reactivity, and because of local kind of global concern, the key is containment. We don't have a vaccine for it. We need to be able to recognize it and contain it.
Dr. Patel, always good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Coming up, he has spent decades on death row. Now a convicted murderer is fighting his fate.
She points to you and says, I'm 100% sure that's the guy. How did that feel to you?
It's like a nightmare. It's like, what is going on?
Up next, why he says an eyewitness hypnotized during her interview with police got him wrongfully convicted. This is Morning News Now. We're back with an in-depth look at the case of a man who has spent more than 2 decades on death row in Texas and continues to maintain his innocence. Charles Flores says he was convicted of murder based largely on the testimony of an eyewitness who had been hypnotized by investigators. After years of failed appeals, he's now asking the Supreme Court to take up his case. NBC News senior investigative producer Dan Slepian went inside the prison and spoke with Flores.
What we're going to do is when we get you into a deep state of hypnosis.
This woman, an eyewitness in a murder investigation, is about to undergo hypnosis by a detective.
We're going to count down from 3 to 0.
The court testimony of Jill Barganier sitting in that chair would help send this man, Charles Flores, to death row.
She points to you and says, I'm 100% sure that's the guy. How did that feel to you?
It's like a nightmare. It's like, what is going on?
On January 29th, 1998, in Farmers Branch, Texas, 64-year-old Betty Black was killed inside her home. Barganier, Black's neighbor, told police she'd been looking out this window that morning and saw a distinctive VW bug in the driveway next door. She said 2 white men, both with long hair, got out. The next day, the owner of that VW bug was picked up. Barganier identified him as the driver, and he was arrested for murder. Police were now on the hunt for the second man.
We were there to try to track down anybody who could have been involved in this.
Jeff Ashbranner was a narcotics sergeant at the time. His team heard that hours before the murder, the man they arrested was part of a drug deal with someone named Charlie.
And Irving PD was very familiar with a guy named Charlie Flores.
Charles Flores, not a white man with long hair. That's when Barganier came to the police station to be hypnotized. Again, she said the second man had long hair.
I see it to his shoulders.
Before the hypnosis ended, the detective told her this.
You might find yourself being able to recall other things as time goes on.
13 months later at Flores' murder trial, for the first time, Barganier identified him as the passenger in the car. But the jury never heard the full backstory. Gretchen Swin has represented Flores for a decade.
They don't see the hypnosis session. They see this very credible woman say, I'm 100% sure he's the guy.
Barganier didn't reply to our requests for an interview. Eyewitness identification is often wrong, according to the National Academy of Sciences. Hypnosis can make that problem worse. Today, Texas recognizes the danger. In 2023, the state legislature passed a law saying all statements made during or after a hypnotic session are not admissible in a criminal trial. But that change came too late for Charles Flores. All of his appeals have been denied.
There's more facts to this case than just hypnotism.
Ashbranner points out that the man who owned the VW Bug stashed it behind Flores' home.
I didn't know they had went and murdered Mrs. Black. I didn't know that the police were looking for that car. I'm getting set up.
2 days later, Flores set it on fire. Then he fled to Mexico. When Flores came back, he led police on a chase, crashed his car, and was taken to the hospital, where he tried to escape again. Looking back, don't you think that's kind of a bonehead move?
Just a little bit.
Do you understand how people can look at that and not see that as a sign of innocence?
Sure, but I'm here to tell you, you also run when you're afraid. I had that thought, they're going to kill me, And you know what? I was right. Where am I?
Charles Flores still insists Texas got it wrong. The only direct evidence presented at trial placing him at the scene came from one eyewitness who had been hypnotized. Flores says the state is planning to kill an innocent man.
I had nothing to do with the murder of Mrs. Black.
Dan Slepian, NBC News.
Coming up on Morning News Now, a commencement speech controversy.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
You heard it there. The topic of AI met with boos from the class of 2026. More on that backlash next. We'll be right back. We are back with an unexpected trend taking place at graduation ceremonies across the country. Commencement speeches designed to inspire are actually eliciting a different kind of reaction. When some speakers bring up AI, they've been met with boos. That includes a former Google CEO just this past weekend. NBC News correspondent Valerie Castro has more.
Spring signals graduation season and commencement speech time, but one phrase proving wildly unpopular.
The rise of artificial intelligence is the next industrial revolution.
From a tech business executive to a music industry titan, AI clearly striking a sore spot.
AI is rewriting production as we sit here. Deal with it. Like I said, it's a tool.
At the University of Arizona, former Google CEO Eric Schmidt faced loud jeers on the topic.
The question is whether you will help shape artificial intelligence. We do not know.
The speaker choice was controversial from the get-go. Some students launching a petition to replace Schmidt in part because he's been accused of rape and sexual assault by a former girlfriend in a lawsuit currently under arbitration. NBC News has reached out to Schmidt for comment but have not heard back, but he has denied the allegations in the past.
AI is going to touch everything else as well. Whatever path you choose, AI will become part of how...
When it comes to artificial intelligence and Gen Z, more than half say they use it regularly, according to a recent survey. But a third say the tech makes them feel angry, and nearly half say the risks of AI in the workforce outweigh the benefits.
If you'd let me make this point, please.
A workforce wary of what lies ahead. Valerie Castro, NBC News.
Time now for some money news, and more turbulent times could be on tap for the FAA. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Certainly change is in the air. The FAA has cut its staffing target for air traffic controllers by about 2,000 workers compared to the agency's previous plans. But the new plan outlines the use of improved technology, scheduling, and training that the FAA says will build a safer and more efficient network. This, of course, comes as the government shutdown and recent safety incidents have increased focus and pressure on the system. And a popular ice cream is being pulled off shelves because of possible pieces of metal inside some of its products. That's according to the FDA. The recall is for Strauss Family Creamery's organic ice cream, multiple flavors, marked with Best By dates from December 23rd through the 30th. Anyone with the dessert is advised to throw it out, and customers can get more information and replacements by visiting the company's website. At the box office, Michael told newcomers to beat it this past weekend. The Michael Jackson biopic coming in at #1 again, both globally and domestically, according to the analytics company ComScore. Coming in not too far behind was The Devil Wears Prada 2. Meanwhile, the new horror film Obsession took the 3rd spot here at home. Joe, I can't do horror movies, but still, The Devil Wears Prada 2 is on my list. I gotta go see it. I love the first one.
Definitely check that out. Not a horror movie, I can tell you that.
Thanks.
Thanks, Emily. Appreciate it. We've got an update on a business story we brought you Friday, that highly anticipated collaboration between Swatch and a luxury watch brand. Well, it's fair to say the rollout was a hit with long lines at Swatch stores all around the world. Here again is NBC's Morgan Chesky.
This morning, a nostalgic pop culture icon.
Flashy marketing has created red-hot demand,
proving there's no time like the present. A frenzy of fans swarming Swatch Watch boutiques worldwide, pushing and praying for their latest offering, Swatch's Royal Pop Collection, a collaboration with luxury Swiss watchmaker Audemars Piguet, whose watches routinely command 6 figures or even more. Fans lining up for days for a chance to buy the coveted and colorful pieces, offering a luxury look for around $400. The only problem?
We will not be opening today.
Unruly lines forcing stores from London to New York, Milan to Tokyo, and even Houston to close early out of safety concerns.
Unfortunately, the Swatch store will remain closed.
On Saturday's Swatch posting, we kindly ask you not to rush to our stores in large numbers to acquire this product.
Swatch has absolutely just revolutionized the way that these brands are speaking to particularly young people.
Christian Zeron, a watch connoisseur and consultant, says the brand has found its formula, first partnering with Omega 4 years ago for its beloved Moon Swatch, putting the whole industry on notice.
It's oxymoronic in a way, right? I mean, the entire idea of taking something that is supposed to be so serious, handcrafted, and producing it in a manner that's, I mean, literally for children, is hysterical.
Who really is their target customer?
Everybody.
If you miss the initial rush, don't panic just yet. Swatch says Royal Pop watches should remain available for at least the next few months, leaving fans hopeful time is on their side. Morgan Chesky, NBC News.
And all right, that is going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now. But stick with us. The news continues right now. Good Monday morning. Good to have you with us. I'm Joe Fryer. Savannah is off today. Right now on Morning News Now, a spring sting from Mother Nature. It's got millions across the country on alert, from a violent string of tornadoes up and down the plains to emergency crews battling more devastating wildfires out west. Even folks here in the Northeast getting a scorching preview of summer temps. Several major cities poised to break records. We've got your full forecast in a bit. Also this morning, off the rails, America's largest commuter train rail line at a screeching halt, with Long Island Railroad workers taking to the picket lines. Potential nightmare brewing for the city's hundreds of thousands of commuters who rely on that rail system. Plus, shocking scenes in the skies over Idaho. 2 Navy jets caught on camera colliding mid-flight during an air show. The 4 crew members on board seen ejecting at the last moment, miraculously making it out alive. We're going to bring you the harrowing stories from eyewitnesses on the ground as investigators race to uncover why it all happened. And Colbert's Curtain Call, one final late show program later this week, marking a somber conclusion to an 11-year run at the Ed Sullivan Theater. It's also ushering in an all too uncertain future for Colbert's late night brothers in charge. Let's start this hour with the extreme weather impacting people all across the country. This morning, millions of Americans are on alert. That's because a powerful storm system has already spawned several tornadoes. Now it's making its way across the country. The Plains states were hit especially hard over the weekend, with a violent tornado destroying homes in several states. Well, in the Great Lakes and out west, crews are trying to keep several massive wildfires under control. In northeastern Minnesota, water-dropping helicopters are putting out hot spots as they battle the so-called Stewart Trail fire. NBC News meteorologist Andrea Romero will have your forecast in just a moment. First, NBC's Sam Brock has the latest on the weather chaos. Sam, good morning.
Hi there. It was a nerve-wracking night for so many folks living in the Midwest. You had that vicious tornado in Howard County, Nebraska, that came with warnings to take cover immediately, flattening homes. There have already been more than 230 reports of severe weather, with nearly 50 million people from Texas to Michigan facing fresh warnings of severe weather again today.
Oh my gosh, dude.
This morning, volatile and terrifying spring weather coast to coast, with storms ripping through the Midwest overnight and dramatic tornadoes touching down yesterday in central Nebraska.
Large tornado.
Wow. Oh my God. The severe weather slamming communities across America's heartland.
Entire houses are gone. Power lines are down.
Where Howard County officials confirmed 2 homes near St. Labori suffered heavy damage from a violent tornado. with more devastation seen through these stunning aerials in nearby St. Paul. Torn rooftops, scattered debris, and shells of homes remaining, with more than 230 reports of severe weather and 25 reported tornadoes Sunday alone.
All right, that's our sirens, guys. Oh, here we go.
Stretching into South Dakota and even Iowa.
There it is.
Stunning, even to storm chasers.
Wow. Gravity, Iowa here, tornado in progress.
As the scope of the severe conditions came in many forms. Colorado battling wildfires in one corner of the state, while outside Denver, frigid temperatures and a deluge of hail. At the same time, the Northeast corridor cooking with high 80 and 90 degree temperatures, creating a toasty Brooklyn half marathon with several cities now poised to break records. And while we are certainly going to be watching for those highs, parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, D.C. could be looking at the mid-90s by Tuesday. The biggest story right now is the risk of severe weather round 2. Cities from Omaha to Chicago to Detroit are part of a huge stretch impacted in the coming hours. Back to you.
All right, Sam, thank you. Now a closer look at the summer-like temperatures and the severe storms with your Morning News Now weather and Andrea Romero. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning, Joe, and we have a lot to talk about today. First, we're going to begin with that severe weather threat that we will continue to see along parts of the plains and the Midwest. Right now, we are tracking some morning storms. Fortunately, we don't have severe weather that's being reported right now, but we do have a lot of lightning, and that's moving into parts of Missouri, parts of Iowa. We're expecting that precipitation even here extending into parts of Wisconsin and even Illinois. That storm seems to be dying down a little bit, but it's going to fire up again this afternoon and this evening. We are, in fact, expecting the possibility of flash flooding across this area with hourly rainfall rates of perhaps 1 to 2 inches per hour that will fall as these storms redevelop later on today into tomorrow, locally up to 5 to 7 inches possible, especially in that area in parts of Missouri. So that's one of our concerns. The other concern, of course, is that severe weather threat. The rain and flood risk will continue to increase over south central Missouri, but we have those intense storms peaking in the evening hours, and we're talking about that severe, moderate to enhanced risk that we're expecting across this region, damaging hail over 2 inches in diameter, wind gusts of 75 miles per hour possible, but of course, the main concern is those tornadoes that can develop, strong to intense tornadoes likely for that area. We're talking about EF2s, EF3s that could bring significant damage. So today's one of those days you want to make sure you have a way to receive those weather alerts and those plans in place in case you have to look for some shelter throughout the day, especially this evening when we have the chance of that another tornado outbreak perhaps in that region. Now, tomorrow, that cold front will begin to shift on to the east. We will see a large storm threat all the way from Texas into Vermont tomorrow. The threat of severe weather is a little bit less. The tornado risk is very low, but we could see some wind gusts of 60 miles per hour, damaging hail of 1 inch or higher with that front as it continues to move eastward. And of course, we have that temperature contrast fueling these storms. We have cold temperatures in Denver, 45, but parts of Texas today in the hundreds. And in the Northeast, that hot weather will bring that early season, perhaps heat wave with several days of temperatures that could be in the 90s. Temperatures in Boston, for example, tomorrow, when we're expecting perhaps the worst of the heat, over 30 degrees above average, 94 degrees, but that will moderate as it will trend cooler as that front moves towards the East Coast. And for the holiday weekend, we're looking at temperatures that could be into the 60s along the Northeast. And of course, we have that fire weather threat over in Colorado, parts of also Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and a little bit further north, we have snow. So it's a little bit of everything, Joe, this morning across the country that we're tracking.
1 week from Memorial Day, we got snow, we've got 95 degrees, a little bit of everything. Yes. All right, Andrea, thanks so much. Let's get an update now on the strike impacting the largest commuter rail system in the country this morning. Service on the Long Island Railroad still on hold after union workers walked off the job over the weekend. It's the first strike on that rail line since 1994. NBC News correspondent Emily Ikeda is at the Penn Station in Manhattan as rush hour gets underway. Emily, what you seeing? Good morning.
Yeah, hey there, Joe. Well, typically this commuter hub is swarmed with daily riders, but instead what you will see across the street, Long Island Railroad workers hitting the picket line in their first strike in more than 3 decades. City officials now urging the hundreds of thousands of people who rely on the rail system to work from home if possible until an agreement is reached. This morning, the nation's busiest commuter rail at a screeching halt.
I'm very stressed. My commute was so crazy today.
The Long Island Railroad shut down for a 3rd day after workers walked off the job over the weekend.
What do we want? When do we want it?
3,500 workers joining the picket lines as contract talks with the Metropolitan Transportation Authority collapsed. The strike creating a travel nightmare at the start of the work week.
I'm up over an hour earlier than I usually am to get to work, so it's going to be a long day.
For the some 250,000 daily riders who depend on the rail system to commute between Long Island and New York City.
People have school, people have work, people have lives.
Commuters now scrambling for other options to get into Manhattan.
You're going to need to carpool. You're going to have to probably get to the subway somehow from Long Island.
As negotiations between the two sides continue, New York Governor Kathy Hochul says she's trying to avoid raising fees for passengers.
The MTA cannot agree to a contract that would raise fares as much as 8% and risk hiking taxes for Long Islanders.
President Trump even weighing in, criticizing the governor over the strike, saying she should not have allowed this to happen. At the center of the dispute, pay raises. The MTA has offered a 3% increase, while the unions are pushing for 5%, on top of 3 years of retroactive raises already agreed upon.
We absolutely refuse to make a deal that puts it on riders and taxpayers to fund outsized wage increases, which is far beyond what anyone else at the MTA is getting.
And the strike's impact will be felt far beyond the track. City officials estimate that the strike could cost more than $60 million a day in lost economic activity. It's not clear how long this could go on for, but some people on the picket line tell me that they could go without wages for weeks, if not months, to get the deal that they have been hoping for. The MTA, in the meantime, is going to be offering shuttle buses to help get essential workers into the city, but still so many people, you think, Joe, left in limbo.
Huge impact today, Emily. Thank you so much. President Trump is back in the United States following that whirlwind trip to China. He returns to face a host of domestic and economic issues on his plate. That includes a key political test in Kentucky that could offer some insight into the Republican Party's direction ahead of this year's midterms. NBC News Chief Capitol Hill correspondent Ryan Nobles is here with the latest. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. And there was some hope that that high-stakes summit in China would open up a path forward to end the conflict in Iran. But that situation remains unresolved. And now one of the president's top allies is calling for him to resume military strikes in the country, while Mr. Trump himself remains focused on his increasingly successful political retribution campaign. A high-stakes political week for President Trump, with primary elections that could indicate the future of the Republican Party. A key test of Trump's power coming up in Kentucky. And over the weekend, Trump helping to end the career of Louisiana Senator Bill Cassidy, who was one of a handful of GOP senators that voted to convict the then former president in the wake of the January 6th riot. Trump posting, "It's nice to see that his political career is over." Cassidy conceding on Saturday.
Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way you want it to. But you don't pout, you don't whine, you don't claim the election was stolen, you don't find a reason why.
Yesterday on Meet the Press, Trump ally Lindsey Graham warning that Republicans who oppose Trump will lose their elections.
There's no room in this party to destroy his agenda.
Graham also predicting the defeat of Republican Thomas Massie in Kentucky, a conservative incumbent congressman who's had a contentious relationship with Trump, facing another bellwether election on Tuesday.
This is a fight worth winning. It's a national referendum.
Trump hand-picking his opponent.
I want to just give me somebody with a warm body to beat Massie.
And railing against him online. Massie has angered Trump with his outspoken push for the release of the Epstein files. And he's criticized Trump's policies, including the war with Iran.
And I've tried to keep us from getting bogged down like we did in Afghanistan and Iraq for 2 decades.
The war becoming a central political issue for Trump, with with the price of gas and other goods rising as the stalemate in the Gulf continues.
We are just hoping and praying that the prices come back down.
Republicans promising that when the conflict ends, prices will drop. But Democrats argue voters will express their frustration at the ballot box.
I think the Democrats will win back the House because there's so much momentum.
And on Meet the Press this weekend, Senator Graham did encourage the president to consider resuming military strikes in Iran to break the stalemate in negotiations. Now, Axios reporting that President Trump is expected to gather his national security team together in the Situation Room tomorrow to discuss potential military options. Joe?
All right, Ryan, thank you. Today is a potentially big day in the state murder case against accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione. The 28-year-old is accused of killing a top healthcare CEO here in New York City back in 2024. This morning, a judge will issue his ruling about whether crucial evidence can be used at Mangione's upcoming state trial. NBC News senior national correspondent Stephanie Gosk is outside the courthouse for us here in New York this morning. Steph, good morning. I know you were in the courtroom for that lengthy evidence suppression hearing back in December. So what can we expect today?
Yeah, right, Joe. Well, Luigi Mangione is expected to be in court for this critical decision. It's probably going to wrap up pretty quickly, but yes, it is based on that pretrial hearing that lasted for weeks because the defense is arguing that this key evidence that was discovered in that Altoona, Pennsylvania McDonald's where Luigi Mangione was arrested, that evidence was the result of an illegal search and a violation of their client's rights. In that backpack, they found a gun, a silencer, ammunition, and a notebook that prosecutors say Luigi Mangione used, along with some other writings, to plan the murder of Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, back in December 2024. Now, prosecutors say police legally searched that bag. They were concerned about their safety, and that's why they did that. All of this, as you say, is for the state case. And remember, there's a state case and a federal case. And in the federal case, the judge in that case has already ruled that all of this evidence is admissible, Joe.
All right, so Steph, if the judge were to rule to suppress the evidence, then what would be allowed at trial? What could that potentially mean for this case?
Well, Joel, first I'll say it would be an incredibly surprising ruling. A lot of legal experts don't believe that's what's going to happen. But the district attorney last week came out and listed all of the other evidence that exists, even if all the alleged murder weapon and the rest was suppressed. And on that list are things like DNA and fingerprints from Luigi Mangione that they say were found near the scene, including some fingerprints and DNA on a water bottle, a candy wrapper, a cell phone. And then there's all the video they say they have. They've got the video of the murder itself, but then hours of video that they say track Luigi Mangione's movements around New York City, that escape from the scene on a bicycle, those images that we saw of him in the back of a taxi, some of the first images released of the alleged killer, and then, of course, that one very famous picture of him at the hotel where he stayed, that you could see his whole face. The DA clearly making the point that even if all of this other key evidence was suppressed, that they still have a case, in their opinion, Joe.
All right, Stephanie Gosk, thank you so much. We are learning more about a terrifying incident at an Idaho air show over the weekend. 2 Navy jets were caught on camera colliding midair before plummeting to the ground. All 4 crew members ejected, surviving just in time. NBC News national correspondent Morgan Chesky is following this one for us. Morgan, good morning.
Yeah, Joe, good morning. And to see this impact on camera, the fact that not only everyone survived here, but was able to walk away is nothing short of a miracle. And this morning, the incident is under investigation. And those who witnessed it telling us they all thought this was part of the show until that explosion proved otherwise.
This morning, the magic of aerial acrobatics turning into an absolute nightmare. 2 Navy jets colliding midair at an Idaho air show, leaving onlookers stunned.
The plane crashed.
The 2 aircraft, a variant of the F-18 known as the Growler, appear to make contact, then spin in tandem before a terrifying free fall. Parachutes opening and each crew member ejecting before the 2 jets explode in a smoky fireball. Authorities confirming all 4 Navy pilots survived. The Navy writing in a statement that the pilots are, quote, being evaluated by medical personnel. Ruben Villalpando was at the air show watching with his family.
I just saw the big ball of fire come up from the ground and then just the smoke.
He says in the aftermath, it was eerily silent.
When you realized what exactly happened, what are you thinking?
The first thing is are the pilots okay? They were supposed to have a pyro show there today too, and so I didn't know if that was part of the pyro show or not, but then I realized, I was like, no, both the planes went down.
Officials locked down the Mountain Home Air Force Base immediately, canceling the show and reassuring everyone that each crew member survived.
Stay where you are at this time. Again, I repeat, there have been 4 good parachutes that were seen.
Videos later appear to show the group landing back on the ground. Even in slow motion, it's still unclear what caused the military jets to catch each other, then lose control.
You see the collision, and then to know that everyone here survived.
I couldn't believe how fast they were ejected out of those planes. It's just totally amazing.
Just an incredibly close call there. And this year's Gunfighter Skies event was the first at the base since 2018 when a hang glider pilot died in a crash during an airshow performance at that same location. We know the Navy is promising to continue to investigate here. Joe.
All right, Morgan, thank you so much. The Memorial Day weekend is just around the corner, kicking off the busy summer travel season. AAA predicts 45 million people will hit the nation's highways and skyways for this holiday weekend. That's despite those soaring fuel costs. NBC News correspondent Jesse Kirsch joins us now with more on all this. Jesse, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. AAA says we are likely looking at another record-setting weekend. And despite those costs you talked about, AAA says average airfare is actually lower year over year for those who booked early. But if you are hitting the road, no question, it will be significantly more expensive this year. Despite that added cost, many of us are still planning to get out there and drive.
With summer's unofficial start just days away, this morning the travel rush is heating up, and so is the pain at the pump.
I can't stand these gas prices.
The average price for a gallon of regular topping $4.50. That's about $1.30 higher than last Memorial Day.
You have to plan your excursions now, like in advance.
But around a third of people say higher fuel costs won't change their summer plans, according to a recent report.
I'm going home to Boston.
Gas prices are at their highest point since summer 2022, a result of the Iran war and the ongoing closure of the Strait of Hormuz.
There is a material amount of oil that just can't get to market, and that is driving up prices everywhere.
Experts say that shutdown and the switch to a more expensive summer blend of gasoline mean prices will stay elevated.
I would expect us all to be paying upwards of $5 a gallon here in these first weeks of summer.
The nation's largest airlines also feeling the pinch, with jet fuel costs nearly doubling in recent months. Those costs especially tough for budget airlines, which operate on slimmer margins.
Why are flights so expensive?
Still, more than 3.5 million people are expected to fly this holiday weekend.
It's now 3 times more expensive to fly to Miami from San Francisco.
Even as domestic fares are up 15% year over year. The top destinations this weekend, according to Going, Seattle, New York City, Newark, San Francisco, and Los Angeles. And experts say if you haven't booked and want to get away, there may still be last-minute options, especially in cities with multiple airports.
There may be deals with a little bit of flexibility on where you're flying out of, as well as where you're flying into.
But again, the overwhelming majority of those of us who are traveling this upcoming weekend will be driving. And Joe, the age-old question, when should you hit the road to avoid all that traffic? Here we go. AAA says Thursday after 9 p.m. or Friday and Saturday before 11 a.m. Those are your best times to get out there. And when you're heading home, getting back to work, getting back to school, on Monday, ideally, AAA says you want to hit the road before 10 a.m. And when you look at the forecast, Joe, for this weekend, the weather, it's a little iffy. So maybe it won't hurt that much to get back early. But honestly, I don't care what the weather is. I never want to get back after a long weekend.
No kidding. And then you lose your Monday if you're driving all day. But, you know, my strategy is I'm just going to stay in the city, not drive anywhere. And the city's quiet, so it's kind of nice. You can get into restaurants that you usually can't get into and everything else. So, all right, Jesse, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Much more to come here on this hour of Morning News Now, including why some online shoppers are taking Amazon to court over President Trump's tariff push. First, though, after the break, the race to decontaminate that hantavirus hit cruise ship arriving in the Netherlands earlier this morning. But what's in store for the dozens of staffers who are still on board once they return to land? We're going to bring you the latest next. We're back with new developments on the cruise ship at the center of that deadly hantavirus outbreak. Overnight, it arrived in the Netherlands, where the ship will be disinfected. Meantime, a Canadian passenger has now tested positive as the 18 Americans from that ship remain in quarantine in Nebraska. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa joins us with the very latest. Maggie, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, lots to watch this morning. We'll start with that case in Canada, a person in their 70s, and that headline underscoring doctors' warnings that anyone who's been exposed to hantavirus can test positive, they say, days or even weeks later. In the meantime, the cruise ship at the center of it all, as you point out, finally docking in the Netherlands, ending a weeks-long nightmare for the crew and medical staff still stuck on board.
Moments ago, the MV Hondius, the cruise ship turned epicenter of a hantavirus outbreak that killed 3 passengers, coming into port in the Netherlands as the remaining 27 members of the crew and medical staff finally disembark. While Dutch health officials say they're not symptomatic, they are expected to quarantine for the virus's full 6-week incubation period, receiving regular temperature and symptom checks. It comes as the global case count rises to 11 once again, with health officials in Canada announcing one of the 4 passengers isolating there has tested positive.
Clearly, this is not what we hoped for, but it is what we planned for.
They say the passenger in their 70s began reporting a fever and headaches days ago.
The symptoms remain mild at this point, and they are still in hospital, in isolation.
Officials add they were on the ship with a partner who's testing negative, but also isolating in a hospital. Back in the U.S., 18 American passengers marking 1 full week in quarantine, all of them now being monitored in the National Quarantine Unit at the University of Nebraska Medical Center. This after health officials said the couple initially taken to Atlanta were cleared to be transferred to the Omaha facility on Friday.
Good morning. It is day 7.
Among them, Jake Rosemarin on social media sharing a play-by-play of life in isolation.
35 more days and I'm gonna get through it.
Officials now say all 18 Americans are testing negative for hantavirus as the CDC monitors 41 people across at least 16 states.
And back to that cruise ship, the owner, Oceanwide Expeditions, says next step is that they've hired a specialized team to come in and thoroughly disinfect it. And after that, a spokesperson for the company says that ship will be back in service, with bookings appearing to be available for expeditions to Antarctica as early as November. Joe?
All right, Maggie, thank you so much. Another global health concern, the WHO sounding the alarm on a growing outbreak of Ebola in Africa. NBC News international correspondent Claudio Lavanga joins us from Rome to take us around the world in 60 seconds. Claudio, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. On Sunday, the World Health Organization has declared a new outbreak of Ebola in the Democratic Republic of Congo and in Uganda, a public health emergency of international concern after more than 300 suspected cases in those 2 countries and 88 deaths associated to a relatively rare variant of the virus. But the WHO also clarified the outbreak does not meet the criteria of a pandemic emergency and advised against the closure of international borders. And let's go to the Maldives now, where on Monday, the National Defense Force there announced that the bodies of the remaining 4 of the 5 divers who died last week have been located. The divers, all Italians, are believed to have died as they explored a system of caves 160 feet underwater. The search team was joined by 3 divers from Finland on Sunday, the day after a local diver died while trying to find the bodies. Authorities in the Maldives say they plan to recover the bodies in the coming days. And let's end this tour of the world here in Rome, where researchers claim to have found the oldest surviving English poem. Scholars of the Trinity College Dublin's School of English found it in the pages of a digitalized medieval book at the city's National Central Library here. It is believed it was composed by an illiterate cattle herder in the north of England in the 7th century. It's called Cadmum's Hymn. It's even difficult to pronounce and reads like, well, a praise to God for creating the earth. I have already heard that before. Hey, Joe.
I was hoping for a dramatic reading, Claudio.
No. Nope. That was too difficult.
Poetry right there, Claudio.
It was written in Latin. Got
it. Thank you. All right. Coming up, it is quite the sobering week in the world of late-night television. Late Show leader Stephen Colbert slated to take his final bow from the legendary Ed Sullivan Theater on Thursday. What we can expect as the curtain opens on an uncertain future for an American institution. Back now with a closer look at what's making news in the world of politics this morning, starting with Taiwan's president defending U.S. arms purchases following President Trump's visit to China. NBC News political reporter Megan Leibowitz joins us with that and more. Megan, good morning.
Hey, Joe, good morning. Yeah, let's start overseas where Taiwan's president is defending a pending $14 billion deal for the U.S. to sell arms to the self-governing island. According to the Associated Press, Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te said in a statement that arms sales with the U.S. are the most important deterrent for regional conflict. Now, this is notable because last week in a Fox News interview, President Trump referred to the planned deal as, quote, a very good negotiating chip, noting that he has not approved it yet. Next, let's head back to the U.S., where former FBI Director James Comey said that he still has complete faith in the judicial system. Those comments were made in an interview with Meet the Press, and it comes after he was indicted when prosecutors alleged that an Instagram post of seashells writing out 8647 was a threat to President Trump's life. Now, in that same interview, he declined to talk specifics about the case because it's ongoing, but reiterated that he's innocent, saying, quote, let's go. Finally, let's go to the National Mall in D.C., where thousands of people gathered yesterday for a National Day of Prayer. Now, the program is billed as an event to commemorate the country's 250th anniversary, and it featured Trump administration officials, conservative Christian leaders, and musicians. Organizers described the program as a chance to, quote, solemnly rededicate our country as one nation under God. Critics of the program, though, argued that the program did not encapsulate the diversity of our country's religious traditions. And that's a look at what's making news and politics this morning. Joe?
All right, Megan, thank you so much. Thursday night, Stephen Colbert will host his final Late Show on CBS. The network cited financial pressures as the main reason for pulling the plug, but others, including Colbert himself, indicated political pressure played a part. NBC News entertainment correspondent Chloe Melas takes a closer look.
Last year, Stephen Colbert delivered a monologue that certainly wasn't funny. The host of the top-rated show on late-night TV announcing his Late Show was being canceled.
It's not just the end of our show, but it's the end of the Late Show on CBS. I'm not being replaced. This is all just going away.
Colbert has been a frequent critic through the years of President Trump.
But who better to gamble with our economy than a guy who somehow bankrupted his own casino?
CBS was recently acquired by Skydance Media, whose owner, David Ellison, is a prominent Trump supporter. CBS called the cancellation a purely financial decision and not related in any way to the show's performance. But that statement doesn't ring true to everyone. Brian Lowry is a veteran media reporter.
There was a sense that the studio was very eager to curry favor with the Trump administration.
Colbert isn't the only late-night TV host who's drawn the wrath of President Trump. ABC's Jimmy Kimmel was briefly taken off the air last year following his commentary on Charlie Kirk's killing. Kimmel apologizing after his return.
It was never my intention to make light of the murder of a young man.
The president and the first lady also called for Kimmel to be fired after he made a joke about the couple's age difference, saying that Melania looked like a, quote, expectant widow a couple of days before a gunman tried to breach the White House Correspondents' Dinner. This week, Kimmel joining Seth Meyers, John Oliver, and Jimmy Fallon, the biggest names in late night, to support their friend.
Is there anything that we have not touched on before we move on to this? I'm curious.
The outrage that your show is being thrown off the air?
Original host David Letterman also stopping by with melancholy words of wisdom.
You can take a man's show, you can't take a man's voice. So that's the good news of this.
The two also recreating an old Letterman bit, throwing things off the roof.
How many hours have you and your spent in that chair?
1,810 shows.
Here we go. All right, let's give it a go.
1, 2, 3.
Oh!
Colbert sat down with Willie back in 2024.
So where does the comedy come in for you?
I'm the youngest of 11, and comedy was, was a humorocracy. Whoever the funniest person was in the room at the moment was the king.
So what's next for Colbert? Earlier this month, President Obama had some thoughts.
I'm looking for a new gig soon. And a lot of people tell me I should run for president.
Well, you certainly have the look.
Thank you very much.
You have the hair.
And in a final show of solidarity, Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel will go dark on Thursday, airing reruns on the Late Show's final night on the air.
You guys have been wonderful friends and great models for me, and I'm so glad to know and love all of you. Thank you so much for being here.
Our thanks to Chloe Melas for that story. For his final week, Colbert will feature a star-studded lineup that includes Jon Stewart and Steven Spielberg, plus musical guests David Byrne and Bruce Springsteen. Coming up, Amazon is back in the legal hot seat. But Morning News Now returns why a group of savvy shoppers seems primed to take the retail giant to court over President Trump's tariffs. More on that in your Money Minute next. Back now with some money news. Shoppers are taking Amazon to court over higher prices linked to tariffs. NBC News business and economy reporter Emily Lorsch is here with your Money Minute. Emily, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. That's right. Amazon is now facing a new lawsuit from shoppers who say the company raised prices to compensate for tariffs and should now reimburse them for those higher price tags after the Supreme Court ruled against President Trump's tariffs. The proposed class action suit says, quote, Amazon has refused to seek a refund not because it lacks a legal basis to do so, but because it seeks to curry favor with Trump. We've reached out to Amazon and haven't yet heard back. And if you plan to bring your humanoid robot on a Southwest Airlines flight, well, you can't. The carrier has updated its rule saying it doesn't allow, quote, human-like or animal-like robots either in checked luggage or in the cabin. Toys, though, the airline says there shouldn't be a problem if they comply with battery mandates and can fit into a carry-on bag. This comes after an online video of a humanoid robot passenger on its first flight made the rounds. Southwest tells NBC News this change isn't because of any specific occurrence, and that its main worry is the size of robots' batteries and, quote, the risk they pose during flight. Over on ChatGPT, parent company OpenAI says its chatbot can now assist people with their finances. The company says its new personal finance feature lets users merge their financial accounts and other budgeting information right into the platform, while OpenAI says this is not meant to replace a financial advisor. With more than 200 million people already using the bot to ask their money questions, it expects this new tool to provide more in-depth and personalized responses. It's currently available for those with the Pro subscription, Joe. Now, the company does say that when you link your bank account, it is secure, but I do expect a lot of people to have some hesitancy there.
Some questions. Some people might work. Other people might say, I'll wait a little bit. All right,
sure.
Emily, thanks so much. All right, now to Business in America. That's an NBC News-wide series putting the leaders of the country's top companies in the spotlight. This morning, we're hearing from the CEO of Barnes & Noble. He sat down with the Today Show's Jenna Bush-Hager to talk about the bookseller's comeback strategy in today's digital-first retail world.
Hey there. For decades, Barnes & Noble was the undisputed king of the American bookstore. But as online shopping took over, the company took a big hit. Lately, something unexpected. Barnes & Noble isn't just surviving, it's thriving once again under the leadership of James Daunt, a veteran indie bookseller who believes a bookstore should feel less like a warehouse and more like a community sanctuary. This is the next chapter of Barnes & Noble. A symphony of rustling pages. Story time.
Great job, crew.
And shelf discovery. CEO James Daunt, a British indie bookseller by trade, took the reins 7 years ago and is credited with saving the company from collapse after years of straight losses.
If you could title Barnes & Noble as a book, what would that have been in 2019?
I'm afraid we would be one of those books about self-esteem.
The first Barnes & Noble opened in 1917 right here in New York City and rapidly grew into the nation's largest bookstore chain, becoming a superstore in the 90s and earning a bit of a reputation as a big box supervillain, famously inspiring the movie You've Got Mail.
You've deluded yourself into thinking that you're some sort of benefactor bringing books to the masses.
At the height of its success, Barnes & Noble was a $2.2 billion business, operating nearly 1,000 stores nationwide. But it struggled to stay competitive in an increasingly online world, and it was sold for just $683 million in 2019.
Part of what you had to do was to get people to want to come back in to Barnes & Noble. Tell me how you've done that.
In bookstores, you get a different way of engaging with books, and they're really rooted in their communities in a very visceral way. We've got really fantastic teams, tenured teams, people who vocationally believe in bookselling, and it's giving them the tools and the responsibilities to get on and make their stores better.
When the pandemic forced stores to close, Daunt saw a rare opportunity.
We literally said to each of the stores, take all the books off the shelves, reorganize your furniture, change where the bookshelves are, and then put it all back together again and see if you've got a better store.
His first move, scrap the standard layout and let each store curate books based on the communities they serve.
The core of your philosophy really is that each store should have its own personality. How is this store slightly different than a store maybe in Texas, where I'm from?
Well, we're on the Upper West Side, so we're in New York City, so quintessential New York author, Dorothy Parker.
Yes.
Nice additions. Now, I don't think you would expect to see this in Texas.
Barnes & Noble opened 61 new stores in 2024, 67 in 2025, and plan to open 60 more this year. Growth fueled in part by a new community of readers online.
I have no self-control in a Barnes & Noble, guys.
What do you think about Book Talk?
I love Book Talk, obviously, because it's bringing kids into our stores. Kids always find books. They always find trends. But what Book Talk's done is made it quicker and faster and more fun.
The next digital wave on the horizon? AI.
You have said that if the rise of AI books becomes a thing, you would be willing to sell them within your stores.
Yes, I have actually no problem selling any book as long as it doesn't masquerade or pretend to be something that it isn't. So as long as an AI-written book says it's an AI-written book, then we will stock them.
Technology may change the way stories are told, but Daunt still believes that the true power of books is in the human connections they create.
Do you still, as a lover of books and a reader, believe that people need books?
I think we are in a fairly difficult political moment, social moment, and I think one of the vocational essences of being a bookseller is that you sit within your communities as a place of acceptance and tolerance and kindness. The book and the creativity of authors and the effective cultural sort of dynamism that goes alongside books will remain, and bookstores will be part of that.
Daunt says one of the clearest signs the turnaround is working is the stores are full of kids again. Parents and caretakers are there with their babies and little ones in the morning, and the older kids and teens are hanging out in the afternoon. He says he's got a lot of hope for the next generation of readers. Back to you.
All right, Jenna, thank you. You can watch her extended sit-down interview with an NBC News subscription. Become a subscriber to get extended interviews, exclusive content, and fewer ads. Just scan the QR code to download the NBC News app now and subscribe. Graduation season is here, featuring some of the biggest names taking the stage at schools all across the country. Their goal, to send this year's graduates off with some memorable, in some cases, viral words of wisdom. NBC News correspondent Kaylee Hartung shows us some of the most inspiring speeches so far. Kaylee, good morning.
Hey there. The goal of a great commencement speech is to inspire and motivate the next generation. And already this year, we're hearing from athletes, actors, and even some familiar faces here in Studio 1A. All of them sharing their stories and passing on their best advice to the class of 2026.
From Super Bowl champions.
I want you to challenge yourself with people who push you to be your very best. Even if one of those people is a cranky old coach who cuts the sleeves off his sweatshirt. Okay, that's too specific in my experience.
To Hollywood icons.
Your generation has far more power than you may realize.
To one of our very own.
Believe in your ability to make it anywhere. There is a song, how does it go? What is it? Oh, if you can make it there, you'll make it anywhere.
The biggest stars speaking directly to the newest class of graduates as they embark on their next chapter. Country music artist Eric Church also striking a chord with his now viral speech at the University of North Carolina.
The world does not need another cover song. It needs an original.
While over at USC,
I think this is the first time that the accomplishment is just walking up to the podium instead of stepping onto one.
Olympic gold medalist Lindsey Vonn delivered a powerful message about strength and resilience. Vonn still recovering from a dramatic fall at the Winter Olympic Games.
Dare to dream, even when people think you're crazy for trying. Jump. Because the only real failure in life is not trying.
From one sports legend to another.
Shaquille, I hate Charles Barkley O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal also getting in on the graduation fun, taking a playful shot at his friend Charles Barkley as he earned a master's degree from his alma mater, LSU.
I want you to say Shaq graduated with me.
And of course, leave it to the Fonz to drop some words of wisdom. Henry Winkler inspiring Emerson's class of 2026 as they get ready to take on the world.
You are powerful, and in you is a great gift. And your job is to find that gift and give it to the world.
So many good moments there, and there are more to come. Conan O'Brien will be speaking at his alma mater, Harvard, next week. Sarah Jessica Parker will give the commencement address at Northwestern in June. And tomorrow, our very own Craig Melvin will be speaking to the graduates at Villanova. Back to you.
Can't wait for that. All right, Kaylee, thank you. Coming up, the quest for Grand Slam glory rolls on this month. After the break, we're serving up the latest on the standout stars of tennis, all heading into the highly anticipated French Open, which officially kicks off next week. So grab your sweatbands, because Morning News Now continues after this. We're are back now with the start of the French Open Grand Slam in Paris. Early first-round qualifying will begin this morning before the tournament officially kicks off at the famous Roland-Garros Stadium next week. It is the second Grand Slam of the season. The biggest names in tennis will return to the iconic clay court that hosted the Olympics 2 years ago. For more on what we need to know going into the tournament, let's bring in Hall of Fame tennis coach and author Rick Macy. Rick, we can't kick off a Grand Slam tournament without talking with you first and getting a preview. First of all, just any big headlines you think we should know about heading into this? I mean, where do things stand with some of the usual favorites?
Well, first off, good to be with you, Joe. Yeah, listen, all roads start and stop with Jannik Sinner. I got to back the truck up. The guy is changing history. What happens next is a mystery. But listen, the guy has won so many tournaments in a row, 6 Masters in a row, never been done before in our sport. The guy is just playing unbelievable, and he's taken over Italy. Listen to this. He's the first Italian to win the Italian Open in 50 years. He's more popular than soccer. And I just heard, the Pope was even wearing a Nike hat during the final. So this guy's bigger than big, and he's on a roll, and we've never seen this in our sport. But everything's really about Jannik Sinner. And as we're talking about the French, they should almost name it the Jannik Sinner Invitational. Alcaraz is out with an injury. Listen, he's not losing 3 out of 5 unless he gets injured. The women's a little different. It's more fluid. But Sinner is what this is all about, and everybody's talking about.
I'm going to ask you more about Sinner in just a moment. Let's talk more about the women, because we know American star Coco Gauff. She's the reigning champ at Roland-Garros. She's coming off a second-place finish at that Italian Open you just mentioned. How good of a chance does she have? Who do you think her toughest competition is going to be?
Well, first off, great question. Her toughest competition is in the mirror. Okay, listen, Coco can beat anybody, anytime, anywhere. As I've said many times, her backbone is better than her backhand. She's so resilient. She never goes away. She's your worst nightmare. And on clay, she can run down everything. I love Coco, and I think she has a shot to win it all.
You talked about Jannik Sinner. Of course, he's playing great right now. On top of that, Carlos Alcaraz withdrawing from the tournament. So that begs the question. We know Alcaraz beat Sinner at the U.S. Open last year. If it's not him, is there anyone who actually can beat Sinner this time around?
The only one that's going to beat Sinner is Sinner. Joe, it's 3 out of 5. It's a mental battle. He hits rockets off both sides. He can counter quality with quality. The sport's never seen anything like this, but between the years, he's a different animal. He's very different. I don't see anybody beating him, okay? But at the end of the day, everybody's hoping for one thing. They get on the other side of the draw since Carlos isn't there. So somebody's going to get to a Grand Slam final. And listen, you never know what can happen, and that's why you play.
How about the American men? Because so many of them always come so close during these Grand Slams, but just can't get through to winning one of them. Do you think that's possible this time, that one of them could rise above?
Well, listen, anything's possible, but Sinner's going to have to get sick or injured. It's not going to happen on the slow red clay. You got Tommy Paul, you got Taylor Fritz, you got Tiafoe. Okay, they can play on this stuff, but to go through a whole tournament, I don't see it. No American has won any slam for such a long time. It's not going to happen at Roland-Garros, but you never know.
Rick, we have like 30 seconds left here, but you know the field very well. You can look deeper than the rest of us. Is there anyone who could be an underdog, someone who could just emerge, play really well in this tournament, make a name for themselves?
Absolutely. On the men's side, I'm going with Norway's finest, Casper Ruud. Joe, you'll like this. I taught his dad back in the day, so I'm kind of biased with that pick, but he got to the finals of the Italian. He's playing great. And Karolina Mahova, she can dip it, flip it, rip it, and chip it. She can make you uncomfortable. Keep an eye on Mahova. Those are my 2 dark horses for the tournament.
All right, Rick Macy, our tennis Dr. Seuss, joining us once again this morning. Rick, always good to see you. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Joe.
It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now, but don't go anywhere. The news continues right now.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.